Are you a strong person? By strong, I don't mean to ask you how many abs do you have? How many weights can you lift? How many kilometers can you run? That's important too. But my focus is on something more important. Something that is inside you, that drives you to do all these physically challenging activities that give you the title of being strong. Are you emotionally strong?
Hello, everyone. Today, we are here with yet another amazing session, which is Ruby's Talk Show. In this show, we are going to be talking about the the three E's that play a very, very important role in your life: empathy, education, and empowerment. We are going to be discussing in the show the three A's with dynamic women leaders across the world. Yes, guys, this is going to be an amazing show with Wonder Women who have been doing amazing work throughout to carve a niche of their work and to create an impact and help others all over the world. I'm joined with two amazing women today which you will see yourself. Not taking much more time, let's put our hands together and welcome our amazing guest, CHRISSY Sykes, an amazing woman who is just great and doing things amazingly. She is the creator of My Body is My Body program. She's doing amazing all the way from UK. Welcome, CHRISSY.
Ah,
Can
you
you
hear
hear?
me now?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you
yes, yeah.
for inviting me to join you.
It's amazing to have you on the show, CHRISSY. We are really looking forward to know a bit more about you.
Thank you.
Then we have another amazing person on the show who is none other than D. Russell Thomas, another amazing woman whom I came to know through Global Goodwill Ambassadors. She is the second lieutenant of Gloucestershire, UK. I know I am not able to pronounce it very well. I think Dee can tell you a little bit much better what it means and how she got this amazing title. Welcome, Dee.
Hello there, Ruby. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really sorry. It's the most horrible words to have to try and pronounce. It's Deputy Lieutenant of Gloucestershire, and it's a really difficult county to pronounce. You did brilliantly. Thank you.
That's why I said I should not struggle much. Let me tell you to do it properly because I know people who live there, they're able to understand it better. We had another amazing person, Lisa Jones, the co founder of Global Goodwill Ambassadors Foundation, who was supposed to be with us today. I know some of you are waiting for her, and some of you are looking forward to have all these three beautiful women together. But unfortunately, Lisa couldn't join us because she was a little bit under the weather, not feeling very well. But nevertheless, as it says, the show must go on. She's there with us. We are praying that she gets well soon. And that will also give us an opportunity to have another round, that is part two of this session, where all these three women are going to be again together on the same platform. So, warm welcome to CHRISSY and Dee. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So, before we start this, I would just like you to tell a little bit about yourself so that our audience are little aware of who you are and what is the purpose, like, the amazing things that you're doing. So just a little bit about your beautiful initiatives that you have. I would really like you to elaborate a bit on it.
Okay. Dee,
Okay.
do you want to go, or shall I go?
Go for it, Chrissy.
All right. My name's Chrissy. I'm the founder of the My Body is My Body program, which is a musical animated child abuse prevention program. This program is a way to start talking about child abuse prevention in communities. So you can use the program from the age of 3 to the age of 10, and it's in 26 different languages. And I work with people all around the world initiating this program into their communities. I am a singer-songwriter by trade, which I did for 25 years, but I've also had this program for the last 32 years. We've reached millions of children around the world in over 50 countries. And it's, as I say, just a wonderful way to start this very, very necessary conversation. So that is what I spend my time doing, is talking to people and initiating the program around the world. Thank you. Ruby, you're on mute.
Mute.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chrissy, for this wonderful introduction. People should know what each of you is doing individually in your own specific domains before we start the panel discussion today. Now, I'd request Dee to please throw some light on her work, just as Chrissy is doing this amazing work across the world to change and bring about a great impact in children, because it always starts with childhood. She's doing amazing with My Body is My Body, because when kids are young, they are vulnerable. They don't know a lot of things. So she's doing amazing with her work. And now I would like you to elaborate what you are doing and how you are doing. Over to you.
Okay. Hi. First of all, I'm really humbled to be here amongst people like yourself and Chrissy, and it's a real shame that Lisa's not here. You talk about Wonder Women. I sometimes wonder why I'm actually here, but here we go. I'm a deputy lieutenant, as was said earlier. So that's a position that was awarded to me by the Queen. So it's very special, and we're promoting positive things within our county. I'm an educational consultant. I've been in education, the field of education for, I hate to say it, but probably getting close to 50 years now. I'm also an international inspector, so I spend quite a lot of my time working out in the Middle East, although in November I'm off to Malawi, which will be really interesting too. My background is degrees in guidance and counselling and support, also art, also English as an additional language. I'm a global Goodwill Ambassador, director and a VP, and UK chair of the child welfare. So I'm working really closely with Chrissy and the My Body is My Body program, because it's so important, and I've been interested in child protection for many, many years. So that's where I'm coming from. And I suppose it's not the last thing and the least important, but I ought to say I'm also married with 3 beautiful children, grown-up boys, and 4 grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you so much. It's amazing when women talk about themselves, they definitely get a bit about their family, they get a bit about the people they are associated closely. That's what women always do. And that's what makes them bit empathetic and emotional beings as well. And to get an honor from the Queen, wow, amazing. Congratulations for that. It's not everyone's cup of tea. And you're doing with a smile on your face, so that's amazing. So that's really nice. Like, when we know a bit about what you're doing, how you're doing, and how you have been working on your respective domains, it's just amazing. So recently, we all know, or still I would say, we are still going through pandemic. It's not over. It looked in the beginning, probably it will go. It's a matter of few months. It's a matter of few weeks, maybe a year, but still it's there. It's not gone. World has undergone a big change during this period. Still there are people who are alone all by themselves. Children lost their parents, parents lost their kids. There are still a lot of people who have undergone or who are still going through, I would say, stress, issues related with loneliness, because this was the first of its kind where people had to be in a state of just be themselves. They couldn't do much. So tell me something, when a world is going through pandemic, when a world is going through something so uneven, how have you been practicing empathy? What have you been doing to help people around you?
Well, during the pandemic, it was a really, really hard time. I'm also have loads of kids, and I've got 5 children, and my kids are all self-employed. And so this was a massive problem, for them. So we had to help support getting the kids through, and our neighbors. We live in an area where there are quite a few older people, so we were helping with groceries, and every time we went to the shops, we'd make sure that everybody had their groceries. And the other thing that I did a lot of during COVID, which was fantastic, was being able to teach on Zoom, again, around the world with the My Body is My Body program. So because we couldn't get to the kids in schools, because all the kids were staying home, we did a lot of sessions with kids on Zoom and a lot of sessions with the teachers. So I think it was just pulling together and helping wherever you possibly could. And I think in a way, that's one thing that did come out that was probably the only good thing out of the pandemic, was that it did pull people together and communities together, and we did form these bonds with lots and lots of different people, apart from helping our own families as well.
Great, great, great. That's I think something which everyone should rush into doing, helping people with basic things. Sometimes we think it's only with money, it's only with doing charities that we can help people around. But doing things like what, Chrissy, you just mentioned, buying groceries for people, doing things which normally they are not able to do themselves because either they are too old, or they are sick, or they find it difficult to move out of their premises. So if you just do these basic things, I think you're doing a great job and stepping in the shoes of the people who are around you.
Yeah.
Dee, tell us a bit about your empathy skills, because I know you have been practicing your kindness program. So I would like to hear a little bit more about what you have been doing to help people around during this time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Empathy sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's actually a really complicated concept. Mm-hmm. And practicing empathy actually takes years of practice. And I know as a counsellor, we would talk about the importance of empathy, which is understanding people's feelings, and unconditional positive regard, which means accepting their feelings, although you don't have to accept what their actions are. It's relating to how they're actually feeling themselves, and being non-judgmental about that, and then having that congruence. And I think congruence, being genuine, is really important. So during the pandemic, it wasn't about trying to fix problems. We couldn't fix the problems. It was about trying to appreciate how people were reacting to those issues. So in my own community, I set up something called the Bless You group. And first of all, I just made posters with somebody sneezing. And with these posters, I handed them out to all of the community, 100 houses or whatever it was, and said, if you have an issue, if you have a problem, if you want somebody to get your prescriptions or to buy your shopping, put this poster on your window. I didn't want something that said, help me, so that the undesirable people might think there's a vulnerable person in there. So that was our secret message. And that was how the Bless You app was formed. We had an app where we would talk to each other, support each other. And then over that year, it snowballed. we ended up having street parties. We ended up having opportunities dancing in the street. I made lessons for people who were here and not being able to get into school. We have quite a number of special needs youngsters within the road. So we were making worksheets. We had an Easter bonnet parade online. We had a pet parade, a dog parade, anything we could do, we did. And I think, as Chrissy said, what was really fascinating was that our community just got stronger and stronger and stronger. We ended up on the television, on radio. We even had a marathon where our 96-year-old resident finished the last lap of the marathon, where we were going up and down the road. And we made about £300 for charity. We did all sorts of things, lots of celebrations, but they were from a distance. I then joined the NHS responder organisation. So I was taking calls at home as well of people who were lonely. I became really close to one lady who's nearly 100. And when it was opened up a bit more, she came round to my house and we had a traditional English party and tea and cucumber sandwiches and things. So there were lots of things that could be done. And I think with empathy, it's not about trying to fix people's problems, because we can't always do that. And my understanding through counselling is that actually most people know how to fix their own problems. They just don't like those choices. Mm-hmm. And I try to abide by what my mother taught me, which was, Dee, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That tells you something. You've got to listen more and talk less. So on that note, I will end.
Oh my God.
That's great advice.
That's a very, very good advice. And of course, as girls, we always like to listen to our moms. I think that's common between all of us, that whatever our mothers say, we listen double to what our dads tell us. I think that's a very girly thing. Even though we might be more attached to our dad, that's another thing. But very well said, Dee. I was really, really wowed by all the amazing things that you have been doing in your community to help the people with different parades. It's fascinating how much I would say creative we can become if we need to help, if we are passionate about something, then words or acts of kindness are not limited to just things which we have been doing traditionally. It opens a lot of doors for a lot of things, like, connecting with people across the world through Zoom, as Chrissy had been doing. We happened to do that a couple of times together. I remember Chrissy speaking at some platforms and I was there with her. So it's something very simple, something that we all can do, but not everyone wants to do. And that's what is empathy. When you think, if I was in her place, if I was in her shoes, what can I do to bring a smile on her face? I think that is important. That's something which each and every person should get on doing, and there'll be much more kindness in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about bringing people in together. I mean,
exactly.
I may have started it, but I didn't finish it. Everybody else then ran with it, and the community became self-helping. It wasn't all my doing. I suppose I struck the match at the beginning, but then it snowballed. And that's the secret, isn't it? Getting everybody to empathize with each other and appreciate. You might not always agree, but you can help each other and see where they're coming from.
Very true, very true. And of course, as you said, we can't help everybody all the time. We can't solve problems all the time, but we can be a part of a bigger problem where we can just create a ripple so that it becomes a little lesser. Because in world, no matter what you do, you can't make everyone happy. So I think it's high time we need to take a step back and let people do what they want to do. But if we can just do something little to bring a smile on their face, I think that should be the idea for every person. So Dee, tell me a little bit more. I've been very much fascinated with your acts of kindness and initiative with Global Goodwill Ambassadors. So what is it all about, and what do you do with your team in UK?
It started when we had a Zoom, as one does. And we were asked if we would bring to the table some ideas about the next project or initiative. So I had typed out 10 different ideas that I thought might work, presented them, and then my wonderful fellow Global Goodwill Ambassadors, including CHRISSY amongst these, said, well, we'd like to do all of them. And then I went away and I thought, well, hey, what if I do 2 more, put 2 more together, and we could have 12, and we could do 1 each month, and it will become the 12 months of kindness. So that was the starting point. And we started doing this, and I made a poster for the first month, and I think we were painting pebbles of hope and then distributing them randomly where members of the public might pick them up and see just an encouraging message, a nice little design, and maybe a number on the back for those in need. And then the second month came and I did another poster. And then I suddenly thought, hey, how about if I ask everybody to send me their contributions of all that they were doing across the UK? I would collate them, which I started to do. And then I started to write a poem for each of the months. And that was how it started. So by the end of the year, we had done so many things: pebble painting with messages of hope, as I said, preparing a reverse advent calendar, putting things into a box, provisions and goodies. And then at Christmas, we delivered them anonymously to different people who were needy. Acts of encouragement, bookmarks. We were leaving books on doorsteps or in bus stops or whatever, and then celebrating local heroes. And it went on and on and on, recipes that we shared with each other. So eventually all those works came to me, the photographic evidence, we put them together, and lo and behold, at the end of a whole year, we had the 12 months of kindness, which I then, I got quite a lot printed off. And distributed them to people. And then I got all the posters and put them together, and Vistaprint kindly did a reduction for me, and they made it all into a calendar. So we've got a calendar of 12 months of kindness as well. So that was it. And in all honesty, once again, I may have been the person who struck the match, but without the Global Good Ambassadors from the UK supporting this and encouraging me, and then presenting all their different ideas, it would never have happened. And the exciting bit now is, hopefully with Lisa has agreed, that I put together a training, and there will be a training on the Learning Institute, on the Global Goodwill Ambassadors, and it will be the Science of Happiness and the 12 months of kindness. And if people complete the course, then, and only then, will they get the 12 months of kindness booklet. But it would be really nice for others to take it on board, run with it, and do something similar in their own communities.
Very true, very true. That's amazing. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can get really innovative and creative if you are passionate about something. And I could see that, when each and every time new initiative was coming up, I was like, wow, it's during crisis. If you're able to think sanely, that means you are a very, very, I would say, patient person or an emotionally intelligent person. Because normally during crisis, we give up. We easily give up, or we start, drinking. Some people I have seen, they start drinking alcohol to calm themselves. Some people, they start smoking, and there are different ways how people calm down.
Oh, it's fight or flight.
Exactly. And some amazing people like you, you, CHRISSY, Lisa, and so many other ambassadors, Goodwill Ambassadors, they think about how we can help others. So only when you are emotionally stable, you can do things to help others. Otherwise, everyone is kind of selfish. They just see how they can help themselves, which sometimes, okay, first you need to help yourself, of course, but then you should always try to give back to the society. Because only when you give back, only when you do something meaningful to help others, I think you evolve as a person.
But there's an irony in it, Ruby. There's an irony, because if one gets involved in helping others, in giving rather than taking, actually our own well-being benefits. So from a selfish point of view, and that's what the Science of Happiness is all about. If you learn to actually project and give out to others, you feel better about yourself. Isn't it that same old adage? It's much more fun to give a present than it is to receive.
I like receiving presents also.
I do too. I do too.
That was on a funny side, but yes, when you give something, when you do something, each little act of kindness then that we do to help others, and when we see or make others smile, it automatically elates us. We feel like, "Ah, I did something meaningful today." Like you feel happy, and that gives you that sense of contentment, which I don't think you can get, if you get an award or if you get a reward. It's something totally different. An
Yeah.
act or a small thing when you make others feel happy or smile, that automatically makes us feel that, yeah, today I did something good. I feel evolved as a person. But I think all these things come, when people are educated. I think education plays a very, very important role in terms of evolving as a human being. And when I say education, I don't really mean formal or informal education. I just mean education in terms of values, education in terms of what our parents tell us, when we are small kids, when we are small babies, how we evolve as a person, how to eat with fork and knife, how to say thank you after a meal, how to say sorry if you do something wrong, those kind of things. So my question is, especially as women, what do you think? Formal education, do you think formal education is important? You can have yes or no. You might say yes, I think blah blah blah, no, I don't think. You can tell us and we can have like a small discussion. Do you think it is important, a formal education system is important?
Well, Dee is the education lady here, so
Yes, we can start with D and then we'll move to Chrissy, because Chrissy, I would really like you to elaborate a bit more, because you're educating the world with your
Yeah,
MBIB program. So yes, Dee,
absolutely.
what's your take on it? What's your take on it? Do you think formal education is a must?
To be honest, I think what you were saying was Chrissy personifies true education and the true
Mm-hmm.
meaning of what education should be about. The great philosopher and educationalist John Dewey actually said, education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. And I
Wow.
think that's where Chrissy probably comes from with regard to this. Do I,
Mm-hmm.
as an ex-teacher, an educational consultant, think that education is important? I'm hardly going to say no, am I? But I do feel that there is a balance between informal and formal education. The two go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
All life experiences are education. And I mean, be they positive or negative. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important. I often worry about young people, especially bright people, who are scared of failing. And failing is really important. It's FAIL,
Mm-hmm.
first attempt in learning. Failing is important, and we need to teach our young people actually how to fail. With regard to formal education, it's really important because you can't just rely on the informal. The young people need guidance and structure. They need subject knowledge, integration, opportunities for discovery, debate,
Mm-hmm.
exploration, experimentation, analysis, hypothesis, all those things. And that's where a teacher, and this could be home education as well, but it has to be a teacher who takes the control and who actually delivers that. And the other part, I would say, it's very interesting. I've worked across the country and across the world, and I've seen youngsters who have walked for 10 or 20 miles to get to a school in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen children learning to count using bottle tops. On the other side of it, I've seen schools with chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, with 6 swimming pools, with resources that are unbelievable. And I would not say that all wealthy schools provide the best education. And neither would I say that the richest children are the most motivated. For me, I have seen such highly motivated, poor children desperate for
Mm-hmm.
education.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a balance in this, and there is a huge dichotomy. So I actually think education is knowledge, and knowledge is empowering. When I used to work with travellers, and many of the travellers used to leave school at a very early age, and I don't have a problem with people's different types of lifestyles, but what I used to say was, can you give your children the opportunity of choice? Because that's what's important, that our young people have the choice of education or not. And alas, in our world, there are still areas of total inequality, certainly for girls in particular. There's an inequality with regard to they're getting access to education. There's an inequality with regard to what's happening to them, be it FGM, the medical procedures that are happened, with regard to being married too early and all those sorts of things. So we need in our world, and through Chris's program, because it links in strongly to that, we need to create a balance where education is an opportunity for everybody. And Nelson Mandela said, it's the most powerful weapon that we have to be able to change the world. And D. Russell Thomas says, education, be it formal or informal, is the tool that creates opportunities for choice, for freedom, for discovery, and for self-preservation.
Very well said. Very well said. I just loved all the quotes, Dee, that you just mentioned. And I also mentioned, this is my favorite one, the one that you talked about, Nelson Mandela. Education is the only weapon. You know, normally we don't talk about weapons in classrooms, but it's the only weapon that can bring about a big change in person's life. Because when people are educated, you know, they can definitely do a lot of things in a much more controlled and better way as compared to a person who's not educated. Yes, Dee, you were saying something. Sorry.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I in a way, I was lucky because my mother left school at 12 because her own mother had died when she was very young. And I had a powerful mother who believed in education. And I do think it is the answer to all because it gives you that opportunity. I totally agree with you, Ruby. And Nelson Mandela sums it up beautifully, doesn't he?
Very true. Very true. Yes, Chrissy, you were saying something?
No, I was just going to say that I firmly believe that every single child in our world should have free education and access to education because being raised in Africa, there were so many children, like Dee was saying, that would walk miles and miles and miles to go to school if they could. And if they couldn't get to school or if they, you know, if their parents couldn't afford the school, they were devastated. And I mean, could you imagine what type of world we would have if every single child could have education, if every single girl could have education? You know, we've got so many countries that put their girls down and don't give them the opportunities. Or as Dee was saying, you know, we have early marriage, that kids are taken out of school, 12, 13, and married off. These girls never have an opportunity to live their lives the way that they should. You know, so, you know, education is one of the things that should be a right for every single child worldwide, no matter where. And I'm firmly agree with that. You know, it's a must for all kids. And as Dee was saying, with the My Body is My Body program, we've got to not only teach children about maths and geography and history and things like that, we've got to teach them self-preservation and empowering them with their bodies. And not only teach the children, we've got to teach the teachers. This is what I spend a lot of time doing, is teaching the teachers. Our teachers are not equipped to deal with the amount of abuse that is out there in the world, which is over 1 billion children a year. That is around about half of every child, you know, half of the number of children that are out there. So 50% of our kids are being abused either mentally, physically, sexually, verbally, some way. And our teachers in the classrooms are not prepared to deal with this. A lot of them I've spoken to have said, I don't know how to do it. So I might see things that go on in the classroom, but I don't want to really deal with it, or I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know who to talk to. So again, this education is very important to get to the teachers so they can teach the children, which will mean that we'll have a better workforce, a more educated workforce, because children that are abused are learning difficulties. So by not addressing all these problems, and especially the abuse of all these children, the 1 billion children that are being abused, we are, we have a lot less educated and powerful workforce around the world because of this.
Very well said. Very well said. I totally agree to what you're saying, especially about in some countries, education is just something to be given to boys, to the male child rather the female child. And coming from India, I have been lucky. My parents gave me, I mean, I have a younger sister, gave us very good education. So I feel I'm very fortunate. I come from that section of society where parents did not differentiate between a girl or male child. Whereas in some countries, it is still happening. Even though we are talking about reaching the moon, going on Mars, but still, some girls are denied education, which Dee, you just mentioned. It should be a basic right. It should be like, and more people are saying in UN, education should be a human right. But has it been followed?
Ruby, children learn from their mothers. So if you have an uneducated mother, those first 5 years where the child is learning so much, they won't learn that much from an uneducated mother. So it's important that the mothers are educated. If countries are wanting their sons, if they're sort of putting their sons first, the sons are also at a disadvantage, but we need to make sure. I mean, I 100% believe that every single child should have equal opportunities. Your girls, your boys, nobody should be treated different, and everybody should have access to free education.
Very well said. Very well said. It should not be, there should not be any differentiation between a girl and boy.
No.
But still in some societies they are doing, because they feel girl gets married, she goes to her home, so she's not of no use to us. That's how I have heard people who are living in lower sections of the society, they think like that. A girl will get married, she's going to go to her place. What added advantage we will have once she's gone? But the boy,
educating society that will change it.
Exactly. That's the need of the hour. We need to educate the society. We need to change the mindset of the people. Only when we bring about a change in how people think, how people react, I think we will move towards a better world. It's the need of the hour. We keep saying, we keep talking about it, we keep having such discussions, but still the rule making body, or the people who are working at those levels who need to bring about that change, I think they are just making a delay in making it happen. Though the world is changing, but it's not really happening at all levels at the same time.
It needs to be faster. Definitely.
Exactly. And as you said, like, a working or a educated mother, a mother who has the basic education, at least she can definitely give a better understanding, a better sense of, I would say, resilience, or how to deal with the outside world to a child, whether male or female, much better than what a dad can do, than what a father can do.
If she's not taught how to read and write, how is she going to read to her children? How is she going to teach them to read? There's so many things that an uneducated woman, I mean, she would still be a good mother, but she would be an uneducated mother. And we have to educate our girls.
And to have an equitable society, we need our mothers to educate their sons. That's really important too. As a mother of 3 sons, it's really important to make sure that our boys become the men we want them to be. And they become sensitive and empathetic to the needs and the importance of equitability amongst boys and girls. We're different. We're not the same.
Respectful.
We don't
And
expect it to
respectful.
be treated exactly the same, but we expect the equality of opportunity.
Exactly. Very well said. Very well said. There should be quality of opportunity for both the sexes, because only when we are providing an equality at every level, we can move towards a progressive society.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
this definitely comes by when we have the lawmaking body doing the things at a faster level. We have to have the lawmaking body who is working on providing the basic education. I think if the basic education is provided free, then I don't think we will have the problem of whether girls should be educated or a boy should be educated. Because in more and more developing countries where education is not free, this is a basic problem that they face. Why spend money on education? Or why send the child to buy the books? Because buying a book, buying bags, buying the stationery, it costs money. Which
Yeah.
people who
Whereas
are
if
working
it's
hand to
free,
mouth, they
yeah.
can't. Yeah. Which people working from hand to mouth, they can't do it. So
There's one other thing that I'd also like to point out in society, and why it's so important to teach things like body safety, and again, with our 1 billion children a year that are abused. Society spends billions on mental health every year. We have people in all sorts of problems with drugs, suicide, whatever, we have many, many mental issues. And it's proven that so many of these are related to child abuse. 78% of our prison population are abused children. So if we spent the money on education and preventing child abuse, we would have a much better society, a much safer society, I believe, and hopefully people would not have as many mental illnesses that they do at the moment.
very true, very true. Very well said. Now, Chrissy, my next question is to you. You have been educating people all over the world on this beautiful program, My Body is My Body. Tell us something. How did it initiate? How did you think about a program like this, and how it all started? Please.
Well, it's a long story, so I'll just cut it short. But I was doing a tour in Texas for a song that I'd written about an abused child, actually an English child, that I'd read a story about, a little girl called Kimberly. And they'd asked me to do this tour, and I sort of thought I was going to speak to a few people in each town. But what happened is that the first place that I got to, there were 500 children to talk to. And so I spoke to them about what abuse was, and, gave them a few rules and things like that. But then I shared with them that I had been sexually abused as a child. And I sang some songs because I'm a singer. So, that was sort of my way of reaching people. And it worked really well. After the presentation, sort of 15% of the children came forward and started saying, well, I've been abused and this has happened to me and that's happened to me. And we were really overwhelmed by the response. So the next day, we were put in front of 2,000 children, and the same thing happened. I kind of just sat there and spoke openly and honestly to them and said, this is how I felt. This is what happened to me. This is what you should do if somebody tries to hurt you or touch you or do anything. And it's kind of just, kind of like I was saying to you earlier, start the conversation. That's what I was doing. I was starting the conversation about abuse because people don't talk about it. And at the end of the week, I was working with the Departments of Social Services, and they had people from the Departments of Education there. They came to me and said, wow, this is really working so well with the music and this subject. And I said to them, would you like me to put together a program to get it for you? I said, just tell me everything you want included in the program, and I will write the songs and put it together. And that's how it was born. It was 33 years ago. And it's sort of the same songs are still being used now, same thing. But what is sad is that although I did it that long ago, we still have the same problems. So what our aim now is, and Dee is working really hard with me, we want to get this message out. We've got the means now, because of the internet, to get our program out to the world, to get it out to the masses, to get it out to teachers, to parents, and say, start this conversation with your children. Start this conversation in your classroom. Let children know that they have the power to say no, that they have the power over their bodies, that if somebody wants to touch them, they have to give consent. You know, so we start at 3 and give very basic rules, and then get children understand a little bit more, and you can get more in depth as they get older as to what consent is and things like that. But for 3-year-olds, we say you've got private parts where your swimsuit covers or where your underpants are, and nobody can touch your private parts apart from if mommy and daddy are bathing you or if you go to the doctor. Anyone else, you say no, and you tell a safe adult. So it very basic rules, but you know, it's really important that we get this message out, and that children are educated, that parents are educated, what signs to look for, what to do if they find something's happening, and teachers are educated as well, how to deal with it, who to report to, how to report. It's really important.
Very, very well said. I think I completely agree with you, and I think all the people watching us, they definitely resonate with what you're saying, Chrissy. We need to create that safe environment around us so that the kid can just talk anything under the sun with their parents. Because what happens is, when they're scared or when they go through something so uncomfortable, sometimes they don't know whether we should say this or not. Was it okay that someone tried to touch them in a different way, or in something which was completely unthinkable for them? So they hesitate a lot. But if, as parents or as brothers and sisters or as teachers, we create that safe learning environment that they can discuss anything freely without being judged or without being ridiculed or without being bullied. You know, that's what other thing is happening in schools and colleges, that kids who undergo something which is not okay, they are bullied, and they're talked in a very, you know, bad manner. Oh my god, this happened with her. You know, the people start pointing fingers. So I guess with your program, My Body's My Body, it is really an eye opener, not just for small kids but for kids of all ages, because anyone and everyone can go through this, but they hesitate to discuss, they hesitate to talk about it. So
yeah, we need to, because
first step should be prevention, I think. Yes, Chrissy.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I know what I went through as a child, and the problem is if you are abused and you don't know about, nobody's ever spoken to you about it. I mean, I felt like I was the only kid that this had ever happened to. And I thought, if I told my mum what happened, I would get into trouble. And that's what we've got to explain to kids, is that you are never at fault. If somebody
breaking the secret.
if somebody abuses you, it's not your fault. It's they're the person that's doing it wrong. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So.
Yes, Dee, you were saying something.
No, I agree. It's also teaching them the difference between surprises and secrets.
Yeah.
And that secrets need to be broken, that you should not be keeping secrets. You can keep surprises. It's mummy's birthday next week. Don't tell her that we've got this gift for her. But they need to understand the difference. And the key areas are going to be the guilt, the shame, the belief because they're told that it's their fault, the belief that if they tell anybody, there are going to be massive repercussions, the belief that they need to keep a secret, that they'd started it, and all those sorts of things. But if children aren't aware of these strategies that are used to keep them silent, then they will not know that that's wrong. So the more you equip your children with understanding without frightening them too much, but so that they have an understanding, I was told that they might say that, or I was told that I had to keep it a secret. I was told it was my fault. When they have those tools to protect themselves, they can recognize it when somebody tries to do that to them.
Yeah. Which is why we have the Say No to Secrets song. Yeah.
There are so many amazing songs, Chrissy, that you have been sharing. And the most beautiful part that you have done with your program is that's available in so many languages, which is a plus plus. So when people, because the first connection for the people is with the language. If they're comfortable with the language, if they understand what they are listening to, it's just something beautiful. And I'm really happy that you are doing such an amazing job and creating so much awareness and so much education on the basic things which every kid should know. I think world is changing, even though the change might be a little slow. It's not going as the way as we want it to go, but at least it is changing towards something positive. I just see. Sorry, you're saying something, Chrissy?
Yeah, I said hopefully. I think we're making inroads. I'm just busy doing a new language in Haitian Creole.
Oh,
and I would like to say that every singer that has done a language has done it as a volunteer, and all our translations have been done by volunteers. I mean, we have just got an amazing, we have got just an amazing group of people that work on the program, because I mean, it's a lot of time and a lot of work, but people are dedicated to making a difference.
very true, very true. I think when you are passionate, when you are having a mission, it just connects you. God just connects you with the like-minded people who are equally mad, who are equally crazy to bring about a change, just as we are here. We have never met, but we have been connected for years together now, because we are on a mission. It's our mission to bring about a positive change. And I think that's what makes us connected, and that's what makes us, doesn't matter how much time we are spending, but we are together because we have to lead, we have to guide people, and that's why we need people like you, who are creating a strong impact and working selflessly. It's the time can just go on. I just noticed that we have almost reached there, like we have gone overboard. And I didn't realize. Yes, I didn't even realize that we have done covered so much, but that calls for a part two, because today Lisa was missing, she was not there. But we covered some very, very essential and very, very sensitive topics, which were not planned. That's how it goes on, which was really a need of the hour. And I must thank both of you. You have been amazing panelists, but I think we'll have to come back. We'll have to come back and do a part two with Lisa around, because there are some still set of questions which I need to address to you, which I can't complete in this session. So big thanks to both of you, Chrissy and Dee, for being amazing panelists and talking so well and engaging our people and giving so much information that is really, really essential today.
Thanks, Ruby.
Thank you.
All the best. Take care. Stay safe. COVID is still there.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you
all
very
the
much.
best. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
So that was Chrissy and Dee, all the way from UK. Amazing leaders in their own way, amazing women in their own way, having families, having their own children, but still they're dedicated. Still they are doing something which many people can't even think about. We need more and more women leaders. We need more and more leaders who are able to do things selflessly, without having any selfish interest, without having anything to get as a gratification in return for the time, energy, and sometimes even their own money that they're spending to bring about a change. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much for being there for the part of the very, very first part of my show. It's really nice when people like you join, people like you connect. We can definitely bring about a change and move towards a more progressive nation. Thank you. All the best. Stay tuned. Stay connected. There is part two coming soon with other female leaders, other women leaders who are bringing a very, very strong impact in the world. All the best. Thank you.